Hi, Ed here from 10,000 Foot View, and I've got another Google Ads quick tip for you today. So today I want to talk about a hotly contested topic, and that is whether or not you should run branded search ads in your Google Ads account. And my answer is it depends. Generally, as a rule, it's usually a good idea to do it, but there are times when it may not make sense. So the first thing I'm gonna walk through some different scenarios, and I'm gonna talk about the benefits of including the brand. And I actually then I'm gonna point you to an article I wrote a long time ago, but it has kind of an assessment tool you can use to evaluate whether paying for branded search makes sense or not. So first off, if you are not currently ranking at the top of Google Ads organically for your brand, you should be running paid branded because people that become aware of your brand from what other advertising you do, word of mouth, when they look for you and you're in the eighth position on page one, they're not going to find you. They're going to find your competitors. That's the first rule of thumb. Just if you're not at the top organically, you absolutely should be paying for top placement. However, that said, you should absolutely be able to rank your brand number one as well. So talk to your SEO provider if that's happening and that needs to be fixed. Okay, so let's assume now the other scenario is you are currently ranking at the top of results. So if it turns out that there is nobody else bidding on your brand, then you can probably get away with just using the organic result because that's kind of the first thing that's going to come up. Um, now one of the problems is it's not good enough to just type in your brand to Google and see if anything comes up from a competitor because ads just aren't served that way. You'd have to be checking constantly to know whether or not that's happening. So really, you can use SEM Rush to see if anybody's bidding on your brand, but the best thing to do is actually run paid search for your brand for a couple of weeks. And then you can use Auction Insights in Google, and it will show you whether or not others have been showing up for your brand. So that's kind of the definitive way to find out. So that's kind of, the next piece of important information. So if it turns out nobody is bidding on your brand and you're in top organic spot, then you might say, well, I don't want to spend money on paid branded when I can get those organic clicks anyway, and I'm just cannibalizing those. So you might choose to put that money into something else, and that's fine. But one other thing to consider is there are other benefits to having your paid search branded ad besides your organic, and those are basically you're going to come up right at the top consistently, right? There's no doubt about it. You're not going to have to scroll as a user to find your brand because there's a bunch of other garbage on top of that. The second thing is you'll be able to point that ad to any page you want. So normally when you rank for your brand, it's almost always your homepage, but you may find that your conversion performance is way better if you send them to a specific landing page. And that may be worth it in itself to direct the traffic there. And then the other benefit that's related to that is simply that you can very clearly specify whatever messaging you want, and you can change that anytime. So if you have a sale or a special promotion, you can include that in your branded ad, and it's not likely that that's going to update automatically in a timely way, particularly when the organic result is for your homepage. Now you can change the title around, you can do that, but it's a little bit tricky to manage, particularly like the 1 week sale or something like that. So those are some of the side benefits of running paid branded, even when you don't have competitors bidding for your keyword. While I'm talking about competitors, one thing to note is it's not always direct competitors that are bidding. It can be indirect competitors, and it can be by accident. Particularly if your brand includes generic words in it, or is completely a generic word, then it's very common that a competitor may accidentally, through broad match targeting, be showing for your brand. So that's something else you have to take into account. So all of that said, under the scenario where, which is the common one, where you do have competitors bidding on your brand, then it's a matter of, well, are you going to benefit by competing with them? And so to that end, I have actually put together a spreadsheet and calculator that you can use to evaluate that. And I will post a link to the article and that tool in the notes that you can use. And I am very interested to hear feedback on this. I developed this, God, 5 or 6 years ago, maybe. And to my knowledge, it still works perfectly well to this day. But again, I am interested if you have any positive or negative feedback about the tool. That is it for today. I will see you next time.